Hi guys, let's try to complete the previous video I made on move pointers and array. Okay, I think we've talked about this other part. We were left with number 6 and 7. All right, here the program says write a function that capitalizes all words of the string, and the prototype is given here: separators of the word, space, tabulations, new lines, and all other parameters right here. It's included. Okay. And what this simply means is that let's take, for instance, let me go to my main file, and then I'm gonna clear this. We're done with this. So let's say I have something like a character, and I have something like profile. Okay. And then I'm gonna say that my profile is equal to engine. Or let me use small letters. Yeah, engine. Okay. Then I terminate this. Let me try to print this. Print f %s for strings, and then let me have a new line here /n, and then I'm gonna pass the profile to the printf. Okay, so on my program, if I run this, you're gonna have engine, right? What I wrote here. Now the program is supposed to write here will automatically capitalize this first letter, the E. So let's see how to implement that. We're going to take it gradually for comprehensive understanding. So let me launch a new file, and I'm going to call it cap.c. That stands for capital.c. All right, so include main.h. And then my prototype, I'm going to use something like char, a pointer called cap, and then char, a pointer to a character. Okay, so let me add that to my prototype. Let me just get this to my prototype. Okay, so we have that here, and then let's get back to the cap. Now notice something. Remember that in the previous upper character that we were trying to write before, we said something like ci equal to ci minus 32. Okay, that means that each time the value is a lowercase, you're supposed to what? Take it back to uppercase. That's what we implemented here. But in this case, we have to check strictly for only alphabetical characters, because if you implement it this way, see, like just what we did here, ci equals ci minus 32, if probably in my main.h I have something like a comma, it's still gonna interpret this and then minus 32, and it's gonna give me a different character. I remember this was actually the assignment I gave for you to write and then comment on my comment section. So I didn't want to actually solve this task. That's why I skipped it, waiting for you to complete that very one. But once I publish this video, that very part, or the gift I wanted to give for anybody that had it correctly, will not be available anymore, because I'm going to use this video to explain what I asked of you to do. All right, so let's go back to the cap.c. Now you're going to check for only values that has to do with alphabetical characters. All right, and then we know that the first element of an array, it's always at index 0. So we're going to say if the first element, that is ch, of index 0 is greater than or equal to 97. Of course, we know 97 is a small letter a, but if you say greater than or equal to 97 and we stop there, it's going to affect every other character that comes after z. So we go to our ASCII table that we used yesterday. Now we discover that our a starts from 97. Small a starts from 97, and then if you go down to z, you discover that z stops at 122. So the program is only going to check from a, which is 97, and then it's going to check through 122. Okay, so for us to do that, we're going to say if ch at index 0 is greater than or equals to 97, and also ch of 0 now is less than or equal to 122, it's going to check within that parameter. Sorry, it's not ch. I'm supposed to use c. Sorry about that. Okay, it's going to check between the range of 97 and 122. If at all, while checking this, and then you discover that it's a lowercase, of course 97 to 122 is lowercase. Now help me change my c of 0 to be equal to c of 0 minus 32. Okay, I believe that is clear. Let's return 0. Okay, so let's try to see what this will do for us before we continue. We take things gradually. So in my main.c, I'm going to call cap function, and then I'm going to pass a profile in it. Okay, so let's try to run this and see what happens. We are going to print this after the cap. Okay, so let's run this. Now you can see that the E becomes capital letter, but we passed a small letter here. All right, and that's the first stage to actually check for that. So what if this E was something like a comma? All right, it's not going to change because that is not an alphabetical character, so it's not going to change. All right, so let's get back to our E. All right, and then the program says that if you look at this, we have something like expect the best, and then if you look at the printer, we have expect the capital letter B capital letter. All right, and then the expect was actually a capital letter. So let's do the same thing here. Let's see if we have capital letter E, if anything will happen. So I run the program. You see, we still have capital E. So the program has been able to check for those conditions. Now, engine, let's say engine channel. All right, now let's run that. You can see that the channel is small letter because we did not check for that. So let's see how to check for other words that is found on a string. So let's go to our cap.c and then try to add some other code to help us tackle that. Okay, now for you to do that, you need to loop through each of those characters, and whenever the character finds a space, okay, and once it finds a space, the next character preceding the space will have to start with a capital letter. That's a simple trick there. So what I'm going to do is to use for c, sorry, for integer I equal to 0, and then c of I not equal to null, and then it's going to increment I plus plus. Okay, now at this stage, you are trying to loop through to find out if there is a character, a space character. Okay, so I'm going to use an if statement. If, while you're looping through, if c of I is equal to empty space. Now note that I am not using a double quote, because if you do this, you are trying to pass a string. It is used for string, but what the program is checking for is individual characters. So hence, we are going to use a single quote, meaning I'm looking for a single character. So if along the line you're looping through and you find a space in between my characters, all right, then do something. What you need to do is to check again. Check for another condition. That's the first condition, if you actually have a space. Now the next condition you have to check is if the next character is actually a capital letter. So how will you do that? You say if c of I, the present value, which is the space, then plus 1 will now skip to the next value, which is actually a character, an alphabetical character. Okay, if c of I plus 1 is greater than or equal to 97, the same thing we had above, and c of I plus 1 is less than or equal to 122, now that is the only way you can now change my c of I plus 1 will now be equal to c of I plus 1 minus 32. All right, so let's run this and see how the output will look like. If I run this, you can see that the capital C, sorry, the small c becomes capital letters. All right, so hence, if I should go to my main.c and then probably say engine channel is a comprehensive channel for beginners. Okay, and then if I run this, each of those words should be capitalized. Okay, you've seen that. Now, looking at this project, you are asked to check for so many things: tabulations, new lines, and the rest of them. Now, let's look at something. Probably, I write something like this: engine channel is a comprehensive channel for beginners. Then I have a new line here, /n, and it's free. Okay, so if I run this now, you'll notice that the and is small letters, which is supposed to be capital letters. So we've not actually written a condition to check for this, and that is a /n condition. So what will you do is to go to cap.c and then add or here. If ci is equal to empty space, or c of I is equal to /n, that's new line, still perform the same condition here. So if I run this, the n will change to capital letter. You've seen that. So the only thing you will need to be doing here is to add or continuously until you complete all these separators that is required of you. So that was just pretty simple but trickish. Okay, I believe that will help you to solve the problem that you asked to do. All right, so let's look at the next task here. We are asked to write a function that encodes a string into 1337. Letter is A, and A should be replaced by 4. E and E should be replaced by 3. And then the rest of that. We have this prototype here. We are not allowed to use the switch case statement. Okay, let's see how to do that. All right, let me call this encode.c hash include main.h, and let me have my own prototype. I'm gonna say char encode, that stands for encode, char pointer to character, return 0. Let's add this to our prototype. I'm gonna copy this to my main.h. All right. So in here, we want to write a code such that anytime you see this letter E, whether it's capital or small letter, change it to 4. All right. So what I can simply do here is to say 4, because we're going to look through, for integer I equal to 0, and then ch of I not equal to null, I will increment I plus plus. Okay, and then inside this block, what you do is to check if the value of ch of I is equal to small letter e, or the same ch of I, maybe it's equal to capital letter E, any of the two. What you do is to change the ch of I to become 4. Okay. So in here, I'm trying to say that each time you look through and you find out that ch of I at any point is E or capital E, change that value to 4. So let me go to my main.c and then call encode, ECOD, yeah, eCode. All right. So let's run this and see what happens. All right, you can see that at every point E is perceived in the program, it changes to 4. Okay. So let's say I also want to write for n. Each time you see n change to 3, so I'll go to my encode. I'll simply copy this and then I'll simply paste it here and probably use else if. You find out that your character is n or capital N, change it to, let me say, 0. Okay, so if I run this, you discover that everywhere that n was found has been encoded to 0. So you can keep on iterating like that. Else if, give the value you want to change, else if, give the value you want to change, and that's going to solve the situation for you. But what if you had something like let me say you want to check for 20 characters? It's gonna take too long. Like the code is gonna be too long for you to write this. So you can use a loop to actually check for that parameters at every time it loops through. So let's see how to do that. I'm still gonna use these two parameters. So I'm gonna say that char first, let me call this char check if the value has to do with E or capital E, and let me say let me use another thing so it will not confuse you with this one. So C or capital C, and then let's say M or capital M, and then let me say I or capital I. Okay, all right, so you're going to check if at any time in your array of strings you have these characters provided. If you have it, then you're going to change it to, let me use chg for change. You're going to change it to, for every C, change it to 2. When the small letter C is 2 and the capital letter C is also 2. The M, let's call it 8, and then the I, let's call it 1, 1. Or let's use it like 5, 5. So it will not look like I. Okay. Now, that is that. So how do you write the statements now? What we're going to write here is, for the first time, try to look through the content of your array. So for integer I equal to 0, and then I will increment I plus plus. I'm going to open a block. Now, inside this block, you're going to check for the number of times it will check for these values here, this C, C, M, M, and I. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going to loop through again for, let me say, integer j equal to 0. All right, and then you call the check check in J, and then J will increment. Okay, now when it is checking for this value, now let me explain that again. Let me say for the first time, the index is 0, which means it's E, according to what we had here. Engine, we have E. So it's going to look through this E. Does it has similarity with any of these values here? So it will check for the first time, is E equals to this C? No. Is it equal to capital? No. It's going to check through for 6 times. So hence, you're going to say, if while you're checking, and at any time your CH of I, the value that was provided, which is the array of strings, your CH of I is equivalent to check at J, at index J. All right. So this means that my CH of I is actually the characters I provided, like my strings. So check if that string, the number 1 string, is equivalent to check of J. Now look at this. Let's say I pass E for the first time. So it checks for that C, for that E. Is it equal to C, this first one? No. Okay. The J will increment. It checks again, is it equals to the capital C? No. The J will increment. So it will keep on checking until the J is completed. If it is completed and is not equal to that very one, it will move out of the loop and then take the next character, which is N. It will make that same comparison, move out, make that same comparison until once it finds an equivalent character, it will change the value to the number associated to it. So check at any time if this man, if CH of I is equivalent to whatever is found here, then you're going to change it. Then CH of I will now be equal to CHG, which is the change value of J. Okay. So that's that. And then let's run this and see what happens. Okay, now so you can see that the first time C, which was supposed to be channel, has been changed to 2. Okay, and then this is comprehensive, so this is C, it has been changed to 2, and this is M, which is changed to 8, comprehensive. If you look through, the changes have been made appropriately. So that's how to write that same code in a different way. Okay, so that's that about that very task. I'm sure you can utilize that to write your code. Just use that idea to write your code here. I think that's the end for the mandatory task. Okay, we are done with that. Let's look at this. Write a function, though it's an advanced task. I just want to give a clarity of what to do here. Write a function that encodes a string using rotate13. Rotate13. What does that mean? Now let me just give you an idea of what that means. Now you have A to Z, okay? A to Z. And then rotate13 means that let's say I'm trying to print engine. Let's just change this. Let me make it small. So I want to print engine alone. Let me run that. Sorry, let me close it. Yeah. Okay, I want to print engine. Now, E is equivalent to the 13th what do you call it, alphabet. Now what that means is, if you look at the ASCII table, so E is here, which is where is it, 101. So if you add 13 to that, it will give you 104, which is R. So instead of printing E, it's going to print R. Okay, now take for instance, we've done something similar to this when we try to change from letter A to small letter a. So instead of printing capital E, you're going to print E plus 13. You're going to add 13 to that. Let me just give you an example of what that means. Let me use my main.c to do that. All right. So you're going to do something like this. Let me just use one character here. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to do something like this. Print F. Okay. And then open and close brackets. Percentage C. I want to print on the character for now. And then I'm going to pass in profile at an index of 0. Okay. Plus 13. Okay. So let me run that. You can see instead of printing E, it's printing R. So this is what that rot 13 actually means. So you're going to write a program that will loop through to actually print those values in 13. Now the problem is when it gets to Z, what happens? Because if you rot it, let's say, and my E is equivalent to Z, the next value should be equivalent to A. So you're going back. All right. There should be a conditional statement that you write to check if the value is up to, let's say, 122, which is the last value of Z for small letters. Change it back to A and continue from there to where you stopped. Okay. It's not hard. It's simple. It's not hard, but it just needs some technical insight. Please don't try to copy code anywhere. Just try to do it yourself. I'm gonna hold a live class to explain that in detail. Just try something, drop it on my comment box, and then you got something from me if you do it correctly and if you don't copy the code. All right. For now, I think I'm done with the task for today. So until next time, see you in my next video. Bye bye. Love you guys.